Alright, what is up, This is alertwolf here to bring you another anime review. This one is of Kotoura-San, episode 4, called Changing the World. And, alright, so this would be the third video in my 6th video marathon that I am doing to you to catch myself up. Another good episode, man. I'm gonna get right into it. So, obviously, things are going on without her at school since she bounced. It's been about a week. Manabe hasn't been able to track her down. Or Manabe. Yeah, Manabe hasn't been able to track her down. He's a little depressed. And basically, you have Fiori Mortani, I'm bad at pronouncing her name. Or Moria. Well, you have Moria basically feeling horrible over what she did. Her friends are like, "Oh, dude, he's, the chick's not around anymore. You could totally go after him." And she feels horrible because I did call it last episode's review. I said this was going to be the turning point for her character. I said she hit rock bottom. She's not really a bad person, and she's going to pull herself out of it. And we start to see that at the beginning of the episode, and later on towards the end. But I'll get to that when we get to it. So basically, he's feeling down about the fact that she's gone, and the president drags his ass back to the club. He's like, "Well, you don't need it anymore now that she's gone." And basically, the president and the vice president are trying to get him motivated. He's like, I don't even have anything. I checked everywhere for her. She moved out. Teachers don't know what school she's going to. I don't have a listing for her. I don't know where to look, and I don't even have a picture of her. And he's like, "Yeah, you sure?" This is the VP. He's like, "Cause I think people leave behind more than what can be seen," and he thinks about it hard, and then he's pissed off she's gone, and he goes, "Yeah, what she left behind is burning rage, and I need to spank her." Spanking it. So they decide, it's the weekend. They decide to go after her. So they're going to travel. Because the VP hacked his way into some security footage because he's an evil hacker, and they figured out what town and what train she was headed to. So that's where they're headed, and they're like, "It's a small town, we'll find her." So they travel. They book any accommodations because they forgot. So they stayed at the local temple, which turned out to work for their advantage because the guy running the temple is also into the ESP stuff. So when they mention that, he's all about it. And obviously he was the one, and he explains this to them. So we delve a little bit into the bag of darkness, but nothing we didn't know before, with the exception of the priest's response to her, which is he saw her in a lot of pain. We got to see some of that pain, and ever since then he's been trying to help her. Because he cares, because she's just an innocent child, basically, and that's how he's known her. So he was that monk, obviously, that the mom brought him to, and so since then he's been researching ESP. Shows them that, they figure out, he's the same dude. You get the explanation, and he's like, "Oh, all right, she's staying at her grandfather's house. It's the other side of the mountain, and I'll take you there in the morning." And he's pretty happy that she has such good friends. Then the morning comes around. We get some of her interaction between her and her grandfather, and her grandfather's this pervy old man who's just like Manabe but older, which she makes that comparison to. And he fantasizes about squeezing her tight little ass, which is dirty and inappropriate. It's hilarious. All right. it's funny, and then it's like I don't want to think too much into it because then it's wrong, because she has this grandfather that may try to molest her if he could, but he won't. We're just gonna let that one go. I just chuck it up to, girls always date their father. Well, in this case, since her dad is a deadbeat and he's not around, she's dating her. She likes someone who's just like her grandfather. So that makes sense. They always say girls marry their father and boys marry their mother. So, there's that little thing. But so right after that, the gang show up, so to speak, and they get in, and immediately the grandfather wants to talk to Manabe, because he's like, oh, all right, Manabe's with you, all right, I want to talk to his ass. And so they're sitting at this long table. They're surprised how rich he is, and then it gets into this match of who's more pervier, and I like that. I thought that was hilarious. And then, Kotoura walks into the room, and she's like, what? And they're like, get her. So she starts running away from them, and they're chasing her, and she looks at them like they're monsters. And, there's, they start looking for, there's this whole sappy scene, I guess, romantic and whatnot. He's apologizing, and they're almost having this, like, mock mind talk. But just like in every scene where, she's ready to, like, melt over him, he always ruins it because his mind goes dirty. He goes, you know what? Now I'm angry. I'm going to spank this bitch anyway. Haha, I'm going to spank her, and I'm going to rub her ass when it's done. And she's like, no, don't spank me. But, the president catches her, and they talk and then they put a net on her, and they drag her back, and they talk things out. And she's like, listen, I can't do this because... First she goes, please don't spank me. And he goes, oh, you can hear me. Ha ha ha. And she's like, listen, I can't do this because you got hurt because of me. This is all my fault. And listen, you guys just have to leave me alone. And then she runs out of the room. Manabe is forced to go chase her. And then we get them talking outside of the mansion, and they're BSing, and he's explaining to her that it doesn't matter, and he promised not to leave her, and he wants to be with her, and she's coming to school, and that's that. And then all of a sudden we get Mioria. She shows up at a taxi and pops out, and she's surprised. They're all surprised to see each other. He's like, what are you doing here? She's like, what are you doing here? Came here to apologize. So, like I said, she, like I said, her character is on the upswing. You know what I mean? She's pulling herself out, and so they talk it out, and she's like, well, because of what happened, I made a lot of trouble for her because of my jealousy, and she's apologized for that, and then she apologized for having him jumped. And he's like, what, you had me jumped? And she's like, oh, you didn't tell him? And that's surprising. Yeah, that was what? She said, well, why would you have me jumped? And so, they're apologizing. She's like, yeah, I got jealous, and then when I saw that she had left and you weren't the same, she's like, yeah, and Kotoura's defending her. She's like, well, she wants to apologize. She just doesn't know what to say. And he's like, well, I'm jumped. And so she cries about it, and mentions all those things I just said, and then he's like, yeah, you're grossing me out right now. And then Kotoura gets mad at him. How could you be so mean? And so the girls leave him, and then they walk away so they can talk. And they do, and they talk it out. And she's like, I want to thank you. Because of you, I'm able to pull myself up, and I'm going to change. I think I'm going to be able to change because of you. Basically, she's saying because of her kindness, despite how mean she was to her, has reached her, and it has broken her down. Because again, she was never. It is against her nature to be a mean and vindictive person. But see, once you start going down that path, you don't see a way out of it, and you start changing into a person you never wanted to be. And when she reached rock bottom in the last episode, and Kotoura's kindness throughout all of it has been sort of the light that snaps her back. You know, it showed her how dark she was being as a character, and basically Kotoura's light illuminated how dark her path was. You know what I mean? She didn't realize she was this bad into the darkness until she could see what true light looked like. You know what I mean? So because of that, her character is able to, and that's what she was telling her, that she's able to she thinks she's going to be better now and pull herself out of this. So then she gets in the taxi and leaves. He's like, well, what do you talk about? She thanked me, and I told her I'd see her at school next week. And he's like, oh, you're coming back. So they're happy, and we'll go tell everybody. So, and then we get a couple of credit scenes at the end. He's like, well, everything's back to normal. And she's like, no, things are a little better than normal. You know what I mean? Some things changed a little. And, that's that's the end of the episode. She comes back to school, and things are, she came back to school. People clap for her, including, obviously, Mioria and her friends were shocked that she was clapping, and Manabe and all that. So, it's good stuff. Things in her life are looking up. And I think the next episode is called School Paradise. Now, again, this wraps up the little mini beginning story arc, and the changing of the character. I really like the fact that they didn't, in this episode, I mean, there was a little bit of backstory where we had a little bit of the dark past, but it wasn't overused. It was slight, and I like the fact that you don't have to go to the well on every episode. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be overused if every episode was in the darkness, or primarily in the darkness being pulled into the light. You don't have to do that. This episode was very refreshing. It was hilarious. I cracked up a bunch of times on it. Again, slightly with the dark past, but not. But you know what? What I liked is it's the dark stuff we already knew. It was the fact that this priest dude turned her into a lifelong friend that's been looking out for her, just like the grandfather. That's what I like. So this anime continues to surprise and delight me. I enjoy every second of it. The comedic parts are great. The story is good, and it is good. So I'm gonna give this episode. I'll give it a 4. No, I don't know about a 4. It wasn't emotionally wrenching like some of the other episodes, but I'll give it a 3.5. Man, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, and again, this is one of those series. If you're not watching it and you just happen to skip this video, go watch the show. It's only 4 episodes in, and it is amazing. You'll truly enjoy it. So this is me saying, click it up if you like it, comment if you must, and please subscribe if you can. And this is Alert Wolf signing off.